Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm out on a walk. It is winter, well it's autumn. As you can see, it has been raining and there's a little stream down here which I'm gonna take you down over here. And yeah, but I thought while we were walking we could walk and talk. And I wanted to talk about authenticity because I did an Instagram post this week on authenticity. And I was talking about how things had changed in my life since I came out, which is 10 years ago, which is wild. And they said, you look so much happier gay than you ever did straight. Not that I ever was straight. But it got me thinking about authenticity because being yourself sounds so simple, doesn't it? Sounds like it's something that's really easy to do. But for me, and for a lot of people, it's one of the hardest things that we can do. Because as we grow up, we learn how to be accepted rather than how to be real and how to be us. And that's a trap most of us fall into, certainly a trap that I fell into, is that we think we're being real, but really we're just trying to be approved of. And as I go through, I guess, my own personal development, as I help other gay men with their personal development, I realise that authenticity and integrity to ourselves isn't a one-time decision, isn't a one-time choice. It's something that we have to do and repeat over and over and over. So one of the biggest lessons that I've learned with authenticity over the years, and I think this is something that people often maybe fail to realise, is that with authenticity, there is always loss. Because every time you share a part of yourself, you share your whole self even, there is the opportunity, you are giving someone the opportunity to reject you, or to reject an aspect of you. Which is why, particularly as gay people, growing up, we don't do that, because all of us as human beings want to feel accepted, loved, and so we make ourselves more palatable, or what we feel is more palatable, and we dumb certain parts of ourselves down, or we amp certain parts of ourselves up. It's different for everybody in all circumstances. But when you start being truly authentic and you really start sharing who you are, what you're about, and you don't apologise for that, and that doesn't mean like just being a dick for the sake of it, but not toning yourself down, not making yourself more palatable. There is always that element or opportunity for someone to say, I don't like this part of you. And that can be scary, especially when you've never done it before. But it's not failure on our part. It's essentially like filtration, right? We're filtering out the people that actually care about us for who we are, and the people that just want a version of us that is amenable to their life. It can be really difficult to get our heads around that at first, and it can be difficult. But every time you are inauthentic, you lose a bit of self-respect, because you're living without integrity. You're pretending to be something that you're not, and you can't lie to yourself. We deep down we all know. You can try and kid yourself as much as you want to, but deep down we all know. And so that level of integrity, when we aren't authentic, is really damaging to our self-worth and our self-esteem and how we see ourselves. It's like a chipping away at that integrity. So it's really, really important to do that, because long term, that is what's going to allow you to look in the mirror and go, you know what? I like who I am. I like what I'm about. I like the person that I present as, because it's really me. It's not a version of me. It's not an idea of who I'd like to be. It is me. And, you know, I'm not saying that you have to share your warts and all with anybody and everybody on the street, but there should definitely be people in your life that you do share, you know, the bits that you struggle with, the challenges that you've got, the obstacles that you're trying to overcome. Here's that little river just down here. Stunning little walk, this. And authenticity is difficult because we are conditioned by society to fit in, to make ourselves, and obviously there is an element of that within society. We need to be able to get on with people. But I think as an extra layer for non-straight people, let's put it like that, you know, you learn to read the room, you learn to read what is okay and what's not okay, you learn to read what is going to be acceptable and not acceptable. But you can't build an authentic life on top of the things that you've learned to hide. You have to unpack that, you have to work through it, and you have to be okay with it. And that doesn't mean that you have to be perfect and you have to have it all figured out. It means that you have to be okay with the fact that you're not perfect, which again, for gay people, that can be really difficult, because a lot of us fall into this perfectionism trap where if I'm not perfect, if I'm not valuable, if I'm not useful, then I won't be loved. But that's not love, that's conditional. And that is not the kind of love that any of us want. I always think back to, because this, like I said, this is not a one-time thing. Sometimes I catch myself doing it now, but I do it less. And when I do catch myself, I go, oh, you know, that internal reaction is, I'm not going to do that. One example that I always give to people that I talk about, after I'd come out, I'd been out a few years, I was playing for Wakefield, I was reading a book called Good As You by Paul Flynn, great book, would recommend. And the cover on it is two boys kissing, well, men. And I was reading it in the airport, and I suddenly just became really conscious, and I folded it up and I tucked it under my arm. And I just was like, I suppose that's partly to do with internalized homophobia, but it was also, I just felt really self-conscious. And, you know, I think about all the times I've not given my opinion or not thought something was right or wrong and not said anything just because I didn't want to upset the apple cart. And of course there's a time and a place for things, but I know now, because of how I behave, that people know what they're getting with me. And I think that's a wonderful thing, because I know that what they think they're getting is the real me. And that's empowering, that is heartening, because I know that any friendships that I have got, those people care about me and not a version of me. So how do we build authenticity? Because, like I said, it's a choice that we do over and over. Let me tell you something that I don't think a lot of people will say about authenticity. It doesn't always feel good. It's saying no when it'd be easier to say yes. It's not taking the shortcut, when it would be easier to. It's making those decisions when no one is around. That is a big part of authenticity. It's how you behave when other people aren't around. It's not just when other people are around, because it's about that integrity, right? Real authenticity isn't loud. It's not someone going, I'm my authentic self, I'm my best self, I'm this, I'm that, and shouting it from the rooftops. That isn't authenticity. Authenticity is the words you use, the actions you take, the values you live by, even the beliefs you have about yourself and the world that are actually yours. That is what real authenticity looks like. And authenticity, you know, you can't find it in a book, you can't find it on a podcast, you can't find it in a TED Talk, you can't even find it in this YouTube video. You find it by your day-to-day actions, by getting really clear on who you are, what you're about, and just repeating it over and over and over again. And maybe you're thinking, well, life's not bad as it is, I'm not being 100% authentic about everything and life's okay. Yeah, maybe it's okay, but I'll tell you what, it could be a lot better. I know, because I've done it, yes, before I came out, but then also trying to be everything to everybody all at once, trying to be a version of me that I thought people want. Life starts to get heavy, and before you know it, you find yourself performing. You're performing at work, you're performing in relationships, you're performing at home, you're even performing for yourself, but you can't get away from that. And that is the kind of thing that leads to burnout. It leads to anxiety, it leads to chronic stress, because you're always performing, you're always in your head, you're always thinking. Everything is an act, and it sounds really like, oh, it's not that serious. It is that serious. It has a huge impact. It takes up so much mental bandwidth. Imagine trying to do every task in your life that you've got, but you are concentrating on trying to do a Sudoku puzzle or something at the same time. Like, how much are you not able to concentrate on the things that you want to concentrate on? That is the cost, and there is another cost, a more insidious cost. There is a very special type of loneliness that is dedicated just to people who are inauthentic, because you can't build real connections on inauthenticity, because even the connections that you do build, you know, this isn't on a real thing. This isn't, a proper relationship. This is a relationship built on pretense. This is a relationship built on conditions of behaving and acting in a certain way. And who wants that? Who wants that? That's a special kind of loneliness. So when you flip that around, you go, well, what are the rewards for being authentic? Freedom. That's the reward. It's the freedom to do the things you want to do, say the things you want to say. And if that doesn't mean that because you live authentically, you are stripped of all consequences. Of course, there are consequences, but I would rather live authentically and there be consequences to things that I actually want to do, to the things that the person that I actually want to be, the relationships that I actually want to have. You know, that is, I'm just walking down these stairs here. That is the level of freedom. The reward is proper connection that you can't fake, connection that when you experience it, there's nothing like it, whether it's a platonic connection, whether it's a sexual connection, a romantic connection, even like your connections with your colleagues and the things that you want and your hobbies and the people that you connect with. There is a special kind of freedom that comes with it. There is Now what I'm not going to do is edit that out of here because, I'm covering the camera. I'm not going to edit that out of here because I tripped on those steps. And that would be inauthentic of me in curating things. The river is full. There is a very special thing to be had from being authentic. There are special connections. There's a freedom, there's a lightness, there's just you find the joy in the simple things because there's no pretense. And I cannot, if it's the one thing that I have learned over the last 10 years that has given me a level of joy that I never thought that I'd be able to do, from someone who, you know, seriously considered taking their own life because of how unhappy and unfulfilled and unconnected I was. I love my life, and I love the person. When I look in the mirror, when I look back at this video, I like the person that's talking to you here. I like the version of me that can be open and honest and discuss this, and I want you to experience that too. So if you struggle with authenticity, it's not about just like dumping everything on everybody all the time. It's being selective. It's giving, sharing a little bit and see if it's reciprocated, because authenticity and vulnerability go hand in hand. And it's about finding a space where you're able to share things, whether it's a person, whether it's a group, whether it's a community, whatever it is. But having people, but also giving the people the chance. And when you are authentic, there is going to be some rejection at some point. Somebody's not going to like it, and you have to be ready for that. But all that does is filter things out for you, and it makes decisions easier. And if someone doesn't want the real you and they only want an edited, filtered, milky anodyne version of you, you don't want that person in your life. You don't want that person in your life. This is the kind of stuff I talk to my guys about in GMC. And if you struggle with authenticity, building connection, building the version of you that you want to be, that you want to present to the world, that is what I help with. So you can always email me, Keegan@gmanscoaching.com. You can comment here. But I want to know your experiences with authenticity. Please drop them in the comments below. Is it something you struggle with? Is it something you used to struggle with? You find it easier? Please do let me know. I post videos here every week. I'm just going back up these stairs now. I post videos here every week. My aim is to help you, to empower you, and to share what's going on with me and what I'm working on, what I'm thinking about, my own challenges, slipping down steps. And I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, share, like, subscribe, and I'll see you next week.